for the cycle, homer for history. On a 1-2, Ohtani sends one in the air. The other way, back it goes. Gone! One-of-a-kind player. One-of-a-kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Starts the 50-50 club and might end the 50-50 club. I don't know if we'll ever get to see what we saw yesterday ever again. Joining us right now to talk about that, talk about the Dodgers, of course, is their former general manager, Ned Colletti, joining us here on the Travis and DeMarco Show. How you doing, Ned?
Hey, doing great, gentlemen. Good to be on with you.
It is good to be on with you. So somebody who has spent a lifetime watching baseball, working in baseball, appreciating baseball, try to put into perspective what Shohei Ohtani did yesterday in Miami and this entire season.
Obviously, never been seen before in so many different ways. When you scout, you can find players with power. When you scout, you can find players that can run well and have speed. When you find somebody that can do both, you have found a rare talent. Obviously, that's what he does. As impressive as that is, though, to me, is when you think about Los Angeles and you think about the great athletes that have come through L.A., and you think about what he got paid, $700 million deferred and all the rest of that, the amount of expectation that was placed on this person coming into the season was probably the heaviest weight of any player, maybe in the history of the city, when you think about the way times are today and the money. And that he would not only meet expectation, but exceed expectation. That, to me, is a guy that signed a lot of players, many who never met expectation. That this guy would exceed it, to me, is unbelievable. That is much, to me, as the unicorn effect, as they say, as anything, what he's been able to do with the expectation placed on him.
Did you caution guys about that expectation when you paid them big money? Like, hey, you know what's coming next. When I pay you this, there's going to be unbelievable amount of pressure on your shoulders. Do you talk about that with guys you signed the big deals?
Well, I would talk more in the positive than in the negative. And I would say, look, I don't need you to do more than you've ever done. I'm signing you to do what you do. So do not try to extend and try and live up to anything. Just do what you do. That's why we signed you, because we know you can hit, we know you can pitch, we know you're a championship caliber player. That's all we need. We don't need anything that you have yet to be. We need who you are to its fullest.
Ned Colletti joining us here on Travis and DeMarco. We had a chance to talk with Ned out at Legends Attic a few months ago. Looking forward to getting a chance to do that again. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. He's entered the chat, as we say, Ned, when not just talking about the greatest season, the greatest game that maybe offensive game that we've ever seen, but has Ohtani entered the conversation of greatest player ever? This is just his 7th season in Major League Baseball, but considering what he's done, considering that he's likely to win his 3rd MVP, second guy to do it in both leagues, that he is a pitcher on top of this, is it fair to put him in there already, just his 7th season in the big leagues?
I think it's, believe it or not, I think it's a bit premature. I know a lot of listeners just said, what's he talking about? But I think longevity will also be part of the equation when you talk about the greatest of all time. I think at this point in time, people always compare him to Babe Ruth. I think he's not completely different than Babe Ruth, but very different from Babe Ruth. And I'm old, but I'm not old enough to have seen Ruth play. But when you look at Ruth, he pitched, they figured out he could hit. So they made him into a right fielder. He threw about 35 innings where he was both, okay? He didn't pitch like Ohtani has pitched and played when he is healthy. So he's got a chance to be different than Babe Ruth, better than Babe Ruth when it comes to his versatility and what he brings to the team. I think he's got to do this for a handful of more years, and then, there he is. Is he a Hall of Famer? There's no doubt he's already a Hall of Famer. But I think when you talk about the greatest of all time, I think you need some longevity attached to it. Capable? Absolutely capable. But still, I think a long way to go.
I think Babe Ruth would say this guy's pretty good. Yeah, I think he would say it. Yeah, this guy's pretty darn good. He might be better than me, guys. Go ahead and say it. Question, do you no one's really tried to do what Ohtani's done, not just the 50-50, but be so good at the plate and pitch at the same time. Do you think this could spur on other people to try this, to have a pitcher-hitter type guy like Ohtani?
Well, I think it's part of the mindset of the game. I think it was always a little bit there, but I think it's more so now than ever, is to find somebody that can do both. Somebody's got the versatility. You see far more players today just where they play defense. They play all over the diamond. Before, you had maybe one or two people that could play the infield, a couple other people that weren't everyday outfielders who could play in the outfield. But you rarely had somebody that could do it all. I think that it's going to become a little bit of a trend. But again, you've got to have the talent to do this. He is an exceptional talent at everything he does.
That's the question. Why him? What makes him so special? Athlete, mind, what is it?
He's got a good frame to him. He's a great athlete to begin with. I think that he eliminates distraction. I think he's very, very proud of what he does and how he does it. He's got great routine. He doesn't get taken away by other trappings of sport, perhaps. He seems to be just so dedicated to this and this franchise that alone can be a difference maker for a lot of players. I've seen guys come in that work like crazy to get to the big leagues. Got to the big leagues, got to a place like L.A. I'd always tell Joe Torre and Mattingly that, hey, our situation is different. We have expectations like Philly, New York, and Boston, but we don't have the crush that they do, where people will come to the stadium and boo you. They'll pay $500 to come and tell you how bad you are. LA, they're just going to walk away, But when you take that and you take how he's disciplined to be as precise as he is, and he's a very precise player. If you watch all the detail he has, it is very, very measured, very figured out. And he's got the athleticism and the heart and the desire to not just play it, but to be the greatest. I think he's got a shot at 60 home runs too this year. That may sound a little
60?
crazy, but let's walk through it for a minute. You got 9 games left. You got 6 against Colorado. Have you seen Colorado pitch lately?
Yeah.
Okay, and they got 3 of those games in Colorado. He may, if he plays all the games, he'll have 30 plus at bats versus the Rockies. He's not capable of hitting 3-4.
Oh yeah,
and if he does that, he's not capable of hitting a couple more. Then you got San Diego, and it's going to be a real good series, real competitive series. I don't see the 6 games against Colorado, including 3 there, that are going to hinder his chances of going 60. I don't think he does 60, but I think 60 home runs. As far away as he is, but as good as he is, and who his competition is going to be, why would you put it past him?
Well, okay,
he's done everything you expected plus more.
With that in mind, Ned, and we're speaking with Ned Colletti, former Dodger general manager. The idea of, I'm not putting anything past this man. That there is no bar that feels like is too high for him to clear. Is he going to pitch in the postseason?
I think if they get past the division series, I think you see him. I think you see him here and there. I think you see him in big games. If he has it, and again, it depends on how his rehab's gone, how he feels after throwing. But I would be more, unless he's got an issue that nobody's talking about. If he's cleared to continue to throw and to throw at a high level, I would be more surprised if he didn't pitch when you get into an LCS or a World Series than if he did. I'm talking about 4 or 5 innings. I'm talking about, you got to close out the 9th inning. You close out the 9th inning. You got to get through a tough 8th inning. Why wouldn't he? I mean, the guy is one of the best. Go back to the WBC, him versus Trout.
Yeah.
So
you obviously were in that chair for a long time, the general manager's chair, and trying to balance the now versus the what's coming next. And obviously, like we've talked about, $700 million investment in this player. It's a 10-year investment in this player. But the the World Series or the NLCS, it's right here in front of me right now. Doctors say thumbs up. He says thumbs up. Is there any sort of conversation about, guys, let's not get crazy here. Let's wait. Let's get him his full year of rehab, et cetera?
Well, I'm sure that, that's part of the discussion. There's always going to be the other side of the thought process, the devil's advocate. I think every organization that's great, and this one certainly is. You take both sides all the time. I always took both sides in every argument to see how people came out and how people thought and how convicted they were to doing it. So I'm sure there's people that go, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to bring them back this close to the surgery, second time, even though it wasn't a full time, John. Yeah, you're going to get that conversation. End of the day, as good as this franchise is, and as historic as it's been for decades, and really historic in the last 10, 12 years, they got one World Series. They're measured by winning the World Series. As bizarre as that is, that's the measuring stick for the organization. They write history in the 10th month of the year. I don't think unless he's come up lame from the time to time, or he's got some arm weariness, or he's got some something going on in that elbow. If he's been clear all this time, you need 3 outs. You don't have to put him on the roster. He's on the roster.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So, it's I would, as I said, I would be more surprised if he didn't than if he did, if he's been healthy thus far.
Ned, can I call you Ned? Ned? Is that all right?
So what else you want to call me?
I'm just saying. If Ohtani gets the final out,
let's be a good start.
If he gets the final out in a World Series that the Dodgers win after doing this, baseball is over. That's it. We don't need to play ever again.
It'll be tough to beat. It'll be tough to beat.
Ned Colletti, a former Dodger general manager, joining us here on the Trav and DeMarco show. Kind of going back to the Ohtani, the bar that he keeps clearing. 40 for 40, yeah, cool. 50 for 50, sure. You're throwing in the possibility of a 60 home run season, and as you laid it out, Ned, it doesn't sound totally far-fetched.
Sounds about right.
Might pitch in the World Series. You mentioned the World Baseball Classic, where he strikes out his former teammate Mike Trout, and everything that comes along with winning a title for his country. Do you, as a evaluator of players, believe in the clutch gene, the guy that has the knack for the moment? Because modern baseball, sabermetrics, all of this stuff, well, the numbers are the numbers. There's no clutch, this, that, and the next thing. But I don't know how you could believe otherwise when you see a guy like this do the things that he's doing.
Yes.
I wouldn't need to see one analytic to be able to say, I want this guy on my team. I want this guy to be a middle of the lineup hitter, top of the lineup hitter. I want him in every big moment my team has got to win. And I wouldn't need to look at any analytics to come up with that. There are just some players that have it. Some players that you want with the ball if you're the Lakers or the Clippers, or you want with the ball if you're the Rams or the Chargers. And there's some people that you want in those situations if you're the baseball team. I mean, it's not everybody can do it. Not everybody has the ability to calm everything down when the lights are the brightest and the heat is on full blast. But as I said earlier on the call, that he has exceeded the expectations that he has coming in with massive. I don't know that anybody has been. I don't think there's been a season that's been more looked forward to than this season.
Right.
And he's the headliner. And so you come into anything that's competitive that this is, with the best in the world playing against each other, and he's dominated it by and large. Not everybody can do that. And some guys are 7th or 8th hitters that can do it when it gets to be October. But some guys are 2 or 3 or 4 hitters that cannot do it in the month of October. So he's got the entire thing. And does that mean he's going to have the greatest postseason? I don't know that. But I do know that he is as talented and as ready for the moment as any player I've ever seen. We always say that in sport, right? Greatest game I've ever seen, greatest player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, this is all legit stuff. There's nobody else that you could really say has done what he's done. And to think that he had 10 RBIs yesterday, 3 homers, 2 stolen bases, 2 doubles.
Sick.
In a game that he got to the postseason for the first time in his career. How do you write that?
It's just stupid.
Ned, with that in mind, and I guess this is a little subjective, but was Ohtani's performance yesterday the greatest offensive performance in the history of baseball?
I think all things considered, I don't know what would be better.
Yeah.
Because you think about, the 50-50 is a huge headline to it. You take 50-50 out of it. You take him getting to the postseason for the first time. You take the Dodgers getting into the postseason yet again. You rip that all out of it. And it's in, with all of that out of it, to me, it's in the debate. 10 RBIs, 3 homers, 2 doubles, 2 steals. Then you add 50-50, historic. Then you add they get to the postseason yet again. Then you add he comes here to get into the postseason. He wants to win, and he passes through that gateway. It's like, look, we're in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But, this is like Hollywood times 5.
I told you, Godzilla movie with Ohtani. He knocks Godzilla with the bat. Absolutely, I'm telling you, and then steal a base. You said the pressure. What did you say about the Dodgers and how they judge history in October, right? Did the pressure just go up?
That's where they'll write it, yeah.
Did the pressure just go up when you have Mr. 50-50, the best offensive guy you ever saw on your team? Did the pressure go up to win a World Series this year?
I don't know if the pressure can go any higher than it is. I think that they come into many seasons with this being the only expectation. Be entertaining, be good in the community, things like that, no doubt, which they are. But I don't think that they have more pressure because of this. I think they have been the team to beat for a long, long time, and I think they're still the team to beat. San Diego's played well. Arizona's played well. Philly's really good. Mets have played a lot better. It's the Dodgers, though. Everybody looks at the Dodgers. Yankees and Dodgers play. They're not looking at the Yankees if they get to the World Series against the Dodgers. They're looking at the Dodgers. So I just think that they've learned to live with it. I think it's one of the great aspects as I watch Dave Roberts manage, and I know people get on his case from time to time. What he does is not easy. What he's been able to accomplish is really phenomenal in so many different ways. And, managers used to manage a game from the first pitch to the last pitch. About 15, 20 years ago, it became they managed best, or the most important time that they manage is from the last pitch to the next first pitch.
Yeah.
With everything that goes on and, ego and salary and playing time and all those other things, I think he's done terrific. But I think the pressure has always been on because that's how they go about it. They're bold. Mark Walter has been a phenomenal owner. Him and Todd Bowley and that group, they want something, they go get it. People asked me last year at the end of the season, so you think they're going to sign Yamamoto and Ohtani and get another pitcher? I said, if that's what they want to do, that's what they're going to do. It's not like they back off or like anytime there's competition, you're going to have to beat them.
You're listening to KSBN Los Angeles, a Good Karma Brands radio station. Last one before we let you go. We're speaking with Ned Colletti, former Dodger general manager. But Oral comes on with us pretty regularly here, Ned, and he was talking about the event that he was going to have with you coming up a week from today out at Legends Attic, and that also happens to be my anniversary. I know that the event has been postponed until late October, early November, so on behalf of me and my wife, thank you very much for moving that so I'll have a chance to come. I really appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome. We debated long and hard, but when we found out it was your anniversary, we figured, we
Fantastic.
Wow.
We'll put it off for a while.
Appreciate you very, very much for doing that.
Goodness.
Yes.
Ned, it's great talking with you as always. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Outstanding. Yes, sir. Wow.
Okay. There was so much in that.
Yeah.
I want to get into 60. And
Incredible.
oh, by the way, there was just he's going to pitch in the championship series if they get there. We're doing that. It's coming up next. But